disclaimer, I bought these shoes with my own money at full retail price. I'm not sponsored by Brooks or anything, so yeah, just letting you know. It's just my opinions and my experiences of this shoe. Last year I was training for the Sydney Marathon 2022. I was doing most of my training in the 1080 V10s. Very old, it's all broken up. I'll show you a picture here. I guess I needed new shoes for my half marathon time trial and also the upcoming race, right? So I went to my local Athlete's Foot store, asked them, hey, what kind of shoes do you have that's suitable for marathon? They said, you know, they got the Brooks Glycerin 20, it's max cushioning, it's neutral, so it suits my foot profile, and also offering wide, which is nice. I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot, you know, sport off them since August last year. Been using it since then for like my long runs, slow runs, easy runs. I mean, that's what I'm using it for now, but at the time I only had one shoe in my rotation at any time. So yeah, so I actually use this for like paces between, at the time, 4 minutes per kilometer to 8 minutes a kilometer. So I've used these shoes for intervals, tempo, long runs, hills. Yeah, I pretty much use it for everything, which is not a great idea, but unfortunately, yeah, I didn't know any better at the time. It's not supposed to be that versatile. I think the ideal pace for this kind of shoe is like around 5:30 minutes a kilometer, I guess. Like just slow, steady runs, you know? I've run this during dry weather and wet weather, very wet weather too, like flooding kind of weather, or like just puddles and stuff. And yes, it does get wet, but it also dries relatively quickly because it's breathable, I guess. It feels like grip. Never really had issues with grip, I guess. It's quite grippy because of the fact that there's so much rubber there on the sole, but it's very durable. I like it. You just gotta be careful when there's foliage on the ground or when there's puddles, I guess, which most shoes are gonna slip anyway in massive puddles, right? I didn't really have any issues with it, so yeah. So when I first wore it though, I felt like a gap here underneath the front of the shoe. I don't know why. I think it's like a rocket type technology. I never really wore the kind of shoe before last year, so I was like surprised that I felt it's like a little spring, you know, like it sort of just rolls off the surface, like over here. It's pretty comfortable. It's wide. The toe box does taper though. If you see what I mean, it does taper in, but like because of the width, it's quite comfortable regardless. The height of the toe box is pretty nice too. It's pretty roomy. Knit material is quite nice too. It's quite breathable. The heel's very stiff. Like the heel structure is quite nice. Like it just feels very solid. I can hardly bend it. It's very solid. It's very thick. I've never really had any hot spots or blisters or any kind of discomfort with these kind of shoes, but I guess that'll depend on your foot profile and like your running, the way you run, and your gait, I guess, whatever it is. Insoles don't bother me that much as well. They do have an arch, but I think when I first tried it on, I felt a slight arch, but as I keep wearing and you know, when it compresses a bit more, I don't really notice the arch of the insole anymore. So yeah, my first impression of these shoes when it was brand new is that it's quite bouncy, but that's coming off like a really beat up, worn out New Balance 1080 V10s, right? But like after running for a bit, like it felt very stable, very comfortable, very blocky, just very solid, tanky feel, you know what I mean? It's like a workhorse. Like it's not gonna like go fast, it's not gonna feel great and bouncy, but it's just gonna like get the job done. I wouldn't say the foam is that bouncy or soft at all. It's actually more on the firm side, if I had to be honest. Like when I first wore it, it was relatively bouncy because I was coming off like pretty worn out shoes, right? But like they marked it as really soft, but I'd say it's more like medium firm, medium soft to firm, which isn't a bad thing, but like it's not that soft, if that makes sense. It's quite responsive for slow paces. It does roll off pretty well if you're running quite slow. When you run fast, you gotta put so much more energy in for it to return a fraction of what you put in. You can run fast in these, but it's gonna be tiring. It's gonna be like not worth, I guess. And during the marathon when I ran in these, it kind of protected my feet for the whole duration, the whole length of the race, but like I couldn't run fast with it. It just didn't feel fast. It does have a nice like forefoot transition, so like as you run in it, it just flows pretty well. You gotta put in a lot more effort to get close to your max pace in these kind of shoes, which you probably wouldn't do anyway. You probably wear like some lighter tempo shoes, right? Here's what the shoes look like after 1500 kilometers of running in dry, wet, crazy weather. Mostly on the footpaths though. I have run these on trails a tiny bit, but I wouldn't recommend it because yeah, they're not really built for trails. But yeah, otherwise they've held up pretty well, right? Like there's a bit of a tear here. I mean that's dependent on your foot type, I guess, or your toes and stuff. But have a look at the outsole. Like it's not worn out that much at all. The foam, of course, like lost its bounce like ages ago, but Me personally, I still don't mind it. It's like it now has like a traditional kind of feel. It has like a grounded, old school, non-bouncy feel. It's firm, but it just rides really well. You know what I mean? I just wouldn't use it for like fast paces or anything like that. So let's summarize the pros and cons of this model, right? So I guess the pros are it's very stable, it's comfortable, it's quite breathable, durable outsole, and the heel's very solid too. So there's a very nice structure and support in this kind of shoe. And I guess some of the cons are it's pretty expensive, it's heavy, it's blocky, not as bouncy as it seems. It's just not very responsive. Like if you put a lot of energy into this, you're not gonna get much of it back. The laces could be a bit better. It's not very secure. I guess the material, like whatever it's made of, it's not very secure. You need the runner's loop and also double knot your laces, I guess. Pretty sure I'm gonna wear this for like a while longer, even though I probably shouldn't. At this point, it just has a nice traditional firm feel, you know. So nowadays, most of my runs in these are gonna be long runs, slow runs, recovery runs, mostly on road and footpath surfaces, of course, at paces anywhere between 4:30 to 6 minutes a kilometer. I'm pretty much gonna wear this until this whole thing blows off or like this whole thing rips off. It just feels like a solid tank, you know, that's gonna last like a long time. Who do I recommend this kind of shoes for? I guess it's like people who just want a bit of stability in their runs. They're not looking to go fast, but they want to be comfortable, stable, but like slow. I guess. I'm not saying slow, but like, it's like more like a steady pace, you know what I mean? That's pretty much my review of the Brooks Glycerin 20. It's a nice, stable workhorse kind of shoe, blocky, firm. It's not built to go fast, but it can go fast if you want to. I just would recommend it. Yeah, that's pretty much all. Thanks for watching and see you guys next time. Bye.